Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Blue Who Review. Today we're going to be doing a video of what if Bill stayed on. Thank you for Jonathan for suggesting this video. It's a very cool concept and idea. It's something I've definitely enjoyed trying to make, so thanks for that. So today I'm going to be making that video. I've tried to go along the lines of what I think Chris Chibnall would have done for Bill, because I feel like that's probably most accurate. A lot of it is similar to what I would have done, but I've tried to go along the lines of what I think Chris Chibnall would have done. It's certainly an interesting concept. I would have liked to see Bill stay on because she was a good companion. I like Yaz. Some people don't, of course, but I like Yaz. So I'm happy that they created the character Yaz, especially the relationship between 13 and Yaz. I really enjoyed that. But no, I'm happy that they created Yaz. But it would have been nice to see what would have happened if Bill stayed on. So I made a little video to see what that would have been like. So here we go. Now, there was a couple ways Chris Chibnall could have brought Bill back, because the way she ended her character to bring her back would have been a bit complicated, because if you think about it, one, she could have been travelling around the universe with Heather. Two, she could have been still part of Testimony, the woman full of glass memories. Or three, she could have been just back on Earth. So I feel like what Chris Chibnall would have done probably is would have got rid of Heather. I'm not sure how we would have explained that. Maybe she died or something like that. And then Bill returns back to Earth. So for my video, I'm going to say that Bill returned to Earth to find the Doctor. And I think if Chris Chibnall was to use Bill, I feel like he would have done things very similar to how he did Yaz. So I actually think that if she stayed on, she would have actually become a police officer. Because if you think about it, she was working in the university as a canteen woman, which is fine, but that's not something she's probably aspiring to be. So I feel like he would have made her into a police officer, partly to find the Doctor. I feel like if she lost Heather, she'd come back to Earth to find the Doctor. And as a police officer, obviously, you do see the strange and the unusual sometimes. So I feel like that would have been a good place to find the Doctor. I would say that she was also someone who'd travel around the UK, not just like wherever the university was based. So I feel like she'd be someone who would travel around the UK, because obviously you'd be more likely to find the Doctor then, which is why obviously for the first episode, that's why she's in Sheffield and sees the Doctor. I also feel like Bill would become a police officer, also to be like the face that she never saw when she was young, because obviously being a lesbian woman of colour in the police force must be really difficult. So I feel like that would have been a good storyline to go along with as well. So that's another reason why I think he'd do that, just to explore that as well. So I think she would have been a police officer, because I feel like Chris Chibnall, like I said, would have wanted to do something similar to what he did with Yaz. So I'd say that. And I think for this episode as well, because obviously if you think about it, the 13th Doctor doesn't actually say she's the Doctor until the last part of the episode. So I feel like for episode 1, to give it the refresh that I think Doctor Who needs, Bill wouldn't have known it was the Doctor till the end. Because if you just changed a couple lines about the TARDIS and regeneration, you wouldn't actually know she was the Doctor until she actually said it. She would have been like a weird alien, but there's no guaranteed proof that it was the Doctor. So I feel like for that episode that would have happened. That way, new audiences aren't like overwhelmed by the story, because obviously it was brought in brand new audiences, and that's why Chris Chibnall obviously didn't bring any returning characters or monsters. So I feel like he would have wanted to do that, which I think is good, because I feel like when a new showrunner comes along, a new Doctor, I feel like sometimes it's good to have a refresh, to bring in new audiences to keep it fresh, because I feel like Doctor Who needs to keep changing all the time to be able to, continue to stay fresh. That's why it's lasted 60 years. So I think, yeah, for the first episode, there wouldn't be too much of a sort of a relationship between the 13th Doctor and Bill, and it would only be at the end of the episode they find out about each other, and the Doctor remembers Bill, and Bill finds out the Doctor is the Doctor. So I feel like that way it could have kept the refresh, kept it new, without overwhelming the audiences at the beginning. I think as well this series there would be a relationship between the 13th Doctor and Bill, but just as friends. I feel like it'd take Bill some time to adapt to the 13th Doctor. I'm sure she'd like the 13th Doctor being a woman, but I feel like obviously she was so used to the 12th Doctor that it'd take her some time to adjust. So for this series it just takes her time to adjust, and then at the end she sort of gets this Doctor and starts to build a relationship with her properly. In terms of the series itself, I feel like a lot of it would have been the same, except Demons of the Punjab. Obviously, it would be different because it was based around Yaz's family, so I don't think that episode would have happened at all. I'm not sure what would have happened in its place. I feel like this is a good time for you to comment your suggestions below of what you think would have taken place. I feel like it should be an episode based around Bill, so let me know your comments below of what you think would have happened in that episode. But yeah, I think that it wouldn't have happened. So yeah, definitely a different story. I'm not sure what he would have done though, with Bill instead. But yeah, definitely something interesting there. So Demons of the Punjab wouldn't have happened, which I would have been sort of disappointed with because I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed the Thajarians. I thought they were a really cool concept. So it would be cool if he continued to use that in Bill's story. But yeah, it was a good story. So it would have been a shame to lose it. But yeah, so comment your thoughts below of what you think that episode would have been. Obviously, then the entire series would have panned out the same, really. And then on to series 12. I feel like it would have been similar to what happened with Yaz. I feel like there'd be slight hints towards her feelings for the Doctor romantically. So I feel like that would have taken place, and that would have been the same. Apart from Can You Hear Me, I feel like the series would have probably stayed the same of how it is now. Obviously, Can You Hear Me would be slightly different because you wouldn't have Yaz's bullying storyline and becoming a police officer. I feel like for Bill, her storyline should be obviously trying to find the Doctor, as well as maybe exploring her discrimination she faced while being in the police force early on and still today, or possibly losing Heather, depending on how Chris Chibnall wrote Heather out, if he did. So yeah, that would have been definitely something interesting. So I feel like for that one, that would have changed. But for the whole series itself, I think he would have kept it the same, where Bill was just slightly hinting that she likes the Doctor, but it's not said properly until obviously Eve of the Daleks. Then again, like for series 12, I think series 13 would have panned out the same, a lot of it, where you can see that Yaz likes the Doctor, and then obviously she admits it to Dan in Eve of the Daleks. And then, of course, obviously in Legend of the Sea Devils, the Doctor explains to Bill why she can't have a relationship with her. So I feel like a lot of it would have panned out the same, really, because obviously I feel like Chris Chibnall, even if he had Bill, he would have done something similar to what he did with Bill if he didn't have Yaz. So yeah, and I feel like we would still have obviously Graham and Ryan in the first and second series, and then obviously Dan in the third series. I feel like he wouldn't have wanted to change too much of his era to fit Bill, because obviously it's his era. He wants it sort of like his way, his sort of stamp on Doctor Who. So I don't feel like it would have changed a great deal. So that's why a lot of it has been similar so far. But I'm possibly thinking that her departure could have been slightly different as well. I mean, what do you guys think her departure would have been? I mean, there's a couple ways that Bill could have been written out and left. I mean, if he wanted to do something different, perhaps he could have maybe killed her off, because that would have been her fourth series, and maybe he would have wanted to make it really impactful by killing her off. So that's possibly what he could have done. However, I think what he would have done is probably very similar to why Yaz left. I feel like Bill would have wanted to leave because she wouldn't want to travel with a different Doctor. It would have been like a completely different person for her, because obviously she's had to adapt from the 12th Doctor to the 13th Doctor, and I feel like it would have been too much for her to adapt from the 13th Doctor to the 14th Doctor, because obviously she's built a romantic sort of relationship with the 13th Doctor, and she wouldn't want to lose that. So I feel like she would have just left and didn't want to be with a different Doctor, which could have left it open for a spin-off, which I know RTD is going to do spin-off, so that could have been possibly something he could have explored to continue Bill on. Obviously, it would depend how much the fans like her, but after the fourth series. But I think Bill's a good character, and I feel like RTD would have liked to write her as well, because obviously she's an openly bisexual companion, and it's something definitely interesting. And plus, after four series of travelling with the Doctor, you would have become quite similar to how the Doctor is. Obviously, in the Power of the Doctor, we see Yaz like flying the TARDIS and trying to sort everything out, which I think was really interesting. So I feel like that would have happened to Bill as well. But you've got to remember that Bill had all the experience Yaz would have had, plus an extra series. So I feel like towards the end, Bill would have been like almost a Doctor herself, which is why she'd have a good spin-off. So yeah, I definitely think that would have happened with her departure and what would have happened next with her. But it's definitely an interesting concept having Bill stay on. It would have been something I would have liked to have seen in a parallel universe. Maybe, you never know, in one day in an episode it could happen. You never know with Doctor Who, a bit like Turn Left. They might show a parallel universe where it does happen or where something else happens, so that would be really cool. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, it's definitely a cool concept, so I really enjoyed making it. And thank you for the video suggestion again, Jonathan. And if anyone else has any other video suggestions, please do drop them in the comments below, as well as what you think Demons of the Punjab would have been. It would be really interesting to hear what your guys' thoughts would have been. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'd just like to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watched some of my recent videos. One of my videos is at nearly 600 views, which I can't believe. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And thank you to all my new subscribers as well. I'm at 13 at the moment, which I can't believe. That's amazing. So thank you so much. And hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully see you in my next video soon.